Hey everybody, Kevin and Robin here. Another Wine Wednesday. Robin, just back from holidays in Kelowna. How was it? Did you get out to any wineries?
Beautiful. Got a little sunshine. I didn't make any wine trips. No, we stayed nice and close to home and just kept to ourselves. But
Didn't drag
it was
the kids
beautiful
out?
either way. I did drink some wine, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I didn't ask you that. I figured you
Goes
drank
without
some
saying.
wine. Yeah, you had a week off.
I did.
Dragging the kids out to the wineries can be a mistake anyway. My kids get pretty bored of that pretty fast, so you probably made a better call there.
I tried to point them out as we were driving by on the way through, and sure enough, they had no interest.
Yeah, they don't care at all about that kind of stuff, so good for you. Keep it about the kids.
Thank you.
But we do have some fun stuff this week to talk
do.
about. I love this Italian pack. I was just checking out this morning. This looks amazing. And then just because we haven't talked enough Jeff Carell lately, I thought we'd pop another one of those in there just because we have so many great new ones. So where do you want to start?
Let's start with the Italian wine pack.
All right.
Get that out and going. So,
Let's do it.
I mean, I have
faves in there.
a love for Italian wine.
Yeah.
And the Salice Salentino has been staff favorite for forever. I think it's one of your personal favorites too.
Yeah, I think I started drinking that in the 80s. So there you go. I think the first vintage I remember that was 1981. So what are we on, the 2010 now?
Yeah.
You do the math on that. I've been at it a while.
But it would be the more fuller bodied red out of the pack. So we kind of have a little tour of some different styles, some different flavors of Italy, because it does have a ton to offer. So that one being like a little bit fuller, richer, smoky. I've made roasted tomato and feta scones, or my favorite pizza pairing is kind of with that guy. Some Valpolicella, which we've talked about in these little Wednesdays before, but for something like a little bit brighter acidity, a little bit leaner.
Both good food wines though, right? I mean, this is kind of surprising too, because I always say it's tricky to age wine, like a 10-year-old wine, to put with food. Sometimes it's hard, right? Because the older a wine gets, the less acid it has. So it can be hard to sort of pair old wines with food, but not in this case. There's still plenty of punch in that one. It's still got that real nice cut to it. So it's definitely like a wine that I pull out all the time for pizza, like any like sort of classic Italian fare, anything with meat sauce. It's pretty hard to go wrong with that.
And have you kept that and aged it a little bit farther?
Yeah, absolutely. The crazy thing for a wine that's what, $25?
Mm-hmm.
That wine will go like 15, 18 years, no problem. So,
yeah, that's incredible.
yeah, it really is pretty cool. And it's not just aging, it actually does get better. Like it gets more interesting, it adds more dimension. It really has that kind of nice like black Bing kind of cherry like tang to it, and you get those real like, I don't know, earthy kind of flavors that come out the older it gets. So yeah, throwing a few of those in the basement's never a bad idea.
Awesome. And then of course patio, super sunny days right now. Pinot Grigio is kind of your ultimate easy drinking patio
Push the easy
favorite.
button. Yeah, that's a good one. I like your choice here. I think the tough thing with Pinot Grigio, I think, on the market is there's so much of it, right? So it's just like a sea of it out there. So people taste a lot of bad ones, probably a bad one for every good one. So really, the key for me in finding good Pinot Grigio is trying to go like a little further north. So the ones from the south tend to be, it's hotter. Obviously, the further south you go, you tend to get like more washed out. Like, sure, the grapes are ripe, but there's not tons of flavor. But we're up in Trentino here in the north, so a little more cut to that, a little more freshness, a little more like vibrancy. And what does that one go for?
This guy's $17.95 on the shelf. I mean,
Can't beat
super
that.
good value.
Yeah, awesome, especially for wine from that area.
And then our last little addition is brand new sparkling to the shop.
Yeah,
and
I'm
you
excited
can't go
about
wrong
this.
with sparkling wine. So this is extra dry, so you don't have all of that residual sugar and sweetness that sometimes you can find from some bigger production Prosecco.
Right.
You're actually getting some really nice quality, super clean, little floral, mineral aromatics to it. Just really pretty.
Yeah.
And I hear it makes some killer Aperol Spritz cocktails too.
Wow. Taking like the high end Prosecco and going for the
Why
Aperol
not?
Spritz,
Make a cocktail
right?
now.
I like it. That's living high on the hog. I think there's a lot of cool things about this when we first, because this is a brand new one that we just started to access. So I looked up a little bit about it. There's some really interesting things going on, because mostly the Prosecco we see, and again, so much Prosecco on the market, you never really know what you're going to get. This one is definitely, it's like $24.95.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's right sort of nicely mid-priced, but there's a lot of character going on. These guys are real like pioneers in the area. So they're right in the heart of the Valdobbiadene region. They are really in the kind of hillier, cooler part. And they don't just plant Glera, which is kind of cool, right? I think like Prosecco is really usually just one grape variety, and they blend in some of the more traditional ones in there too. So Pereira and Bianchetto, like some of the grapes that probably haven't heard of before. So there's a lot going on in that for $25. I was really,
Yeah.
really happy with that. I think that's going to be like the new best-selling Prosecco in the shop for a while. So,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, it's delicious.
So yeah, those
Nice
4
work.
would be $88.95 on regular price point, and we've got them on for
Nice.
$74.95. So
$75, 4 bottles. You can get that delivered for free.
sure can.
Well, it's hard to go wrong, right? Maybe I should get on opening up this guy.
All right.
Have you
let's do
had
it.
a chance to try this yet?
I did try it once when it first came in, but it was real tasty. So I'm excited to revisit this one
let's-
again.
Let's refresh that memory a little bit.
So this is made with grape called Grenache Gris.
Yeah.
Correct? And a little bit of Carignan Blanc as well.
Yeah, and some Macabeo as well. So grape varieties you definitely don't see together too often. Maybe don't see at all that much. But really, really small production on this. So I think 7,700 bottles total produced. So you can divide that by 12 and get how many cases there are. That's not a lot of wine. So Vignes Perdues literally just means the lost vines. This is part of the Sous la Montagne initiative that Jeff Carell is doing. So the idea is really just trying to find really interesting vineyards. So this all comes from a site in the Roussillon. So we're down again in the Catalan part of France. It's an area we definitely
Close to
don't.
Spain.
Yeah, we don't talk about it very much because there's years where we didn't have a single wine from the Côte de Roussillon on the shelf. So really, we're in like the shadows of the Pyrenees here, and we're up high altitude vineyards where there's all these really old vines. And when you get into those old vines, of course, you run into stuff that we don't see too much, like Grenache Gris, right? And some really neat grape varieties. I like the treatment on this one too. This rings to me more like white Chardonnay almost.
Totally.
Like there's some serious weight to it. There's some real complexity to it. This isn't your patio sipper. This is something like a little more substantial.
It's really aromatic and like smells a little bit like spicy and creamy and all those wonderful things.
Yeah, almost trick you into thinking it's like Viognier or like Roussanne or one of those, just because we're not familiar with these grapes so much. So we try to think of stuff that we do taste more often. But there's a lot of complexity here. If you're the kind of person who likes white Burgundy or again like white Rhones, and you like something like more luscious and rich, then I think this is going to be right up your alley. This would be perfect if you're putting some fish on the barbecue this weekend, or even like lobster, fish stew, any of those things.
It's really creamy and velvety on the palate too. Like it's really pretty, and
It's
it
good
does
wine.
have quite a bit of weight to it. And I love that it has almost that like baked pear and spice kind of thing going on. Really pretty.
It's not hard to pull adjectives out of this one, eh? Like it smells and tastes like a lot of things, but the amount of power and just like real presence it has is cool. This one's not super inexpensive, as you can imagine. For a wine they just made a few hundred cases of, right? It's 30.
Yeah, $32. So.
But think of it this way: if you're gonna go buy white Chardonnay to pop, I think the least expensive one is 62 on the shelf, and they go up to like 90. So really, you're getting kind of something similar here, something really unique. Grape varieties maybe you haven't tasted before. So if you're a bit of a wine geek or you just want to try something new, don't miss this because we didn't get a lot of it. It's gonna be gone pretty fast.
Totally.
All right. That's fun.
Excellent.
I'm gonna keep sipping on this. Anything else?
I'm glad to be back.
All
Missed
right.
y'all.
Well, welcome back. All right. Hopefully we see you on the weekend. And if you want to pick up a little 4-pack of Italian wine, you can go to the website and grab one and get it delivered.